Hey gang, John Bacarella here with your Lake St. Clair Fishing Report, brought to you by Sportsmen's Direct. It is Friday, March 26th, and I'm sorry, I normally do these on Thursdays. We went back and forth about whether or not we were going to do one this week because it was kind of crazy, a lot of stuff going on, and then the weather was just kind of nutty. But I had enough people call the store today that it warranted me doing another fishing report because there is stuff to talk about. So let's get right to it and talk about water temp. The water temp has bumped a lot. Remember last week I said we were going to go into the 40s this week? Well, yeah, we did. So the water temp at Belle Isle now was 42 degrees when I just checked it. And I'm sure you're going to find some warmer spots and some colder spots out there, depending on whether you're in the main flow from that channel coming out of the St. Clair River, or if you're in some of the runoff water that's being kicked in by all the heavy rain. Now, most of you folks know we got a ton of rain just in the last 48 hours. And that rain has not only pushed up the water temps near shore and, you know, in those areas directly affected by the runoff, but it's also going to dirty the water up considerably, and it's probably going to wreak havoc on you guys that have been fishing the Clinton River and the spillway, because the volume of water coming out of those two tributaries, and pretty much I would imagine just about all the outlets along, or all the, I should say, rivers and drains and everything along the lake in southeast Michigan are probably just rocking right now. So that's one thing you got to take into consideration if you're going to fish this weekend, is that you're going to have those places are going to really be flowing. If you're out there in a boat, you know that this time of the year when we get these big events like this, you're also going to get a lot of wood out into the lake. You're going to get all kinds of stuff floating around out there. So if you guys are running and tomorrow's supposed to be pretty flat, calm, please keep your eyes open for logs and all kinds of other obstructions out there, because you're going to see some stuff, especially in that downstream area from the spillway and the Clinton River, or maybe anything further north. Maybe the Black might be the same thing, but you get the idea, right? So keep your eyes peeled for anything that could be out there. We don't want you cracking a hull or ripping a lower unit out or whatnot. So now the fishing, still getting a lot of silverfish up there in the St. Clair River, cohos, steelhead, Lakers. The guys trolling for salmon up there have been really doing super well, and starting to get some nice walleyes up there as well. Now, down here on our end, smallmouth fishing has started, guys. I've gotten some reports of some double-digit catches, and in really tight right now, honestly, because of this, again, coming back to this warm, the warm weather and the runoff and the dirty water, and it all equals, and 70-degree temps that we had, it equals fish moving in tight, and they'll move in tight, and then they'll bounce back out to that 12-foot range or deeper. But you can expect fish, especially during midday, when the water temperature is peaking, the activity levels go up, and those fish are going to go in tight. Same thing goes for the panfish. Crappies, bluegills, we're getting reports in the canals and marinas of some really good catches of crappies, gills, and perch as well. Perch fishing in some areas has kind of slowed down a little bit, like off of Selfridge. It's slowed down quite a bit, but I would not just throw that away, that spot. I would keep checking down there, folks. Just, if you're out and about, give it a quick check. You're either going to cash in or you're not, but those fish are going to move back in there, and it is going to get good again as the weeds start to come up. The actual spawn is going to kick in, and those fish are going to be there. So, don't give up on these spots. You got to check them continually to get, because if you're fishing from shore, you're waiting for those schools to come in right on top of you. So it could be an hour after you leave that they might come in there, or you might miss it by an hour. You know the drill. But so anyways, keep checking those spots. Don't give up on them. The Metro Park, Lake St. Clair Metro Park, Black Creek has still been producing fish. We've got guys that fish it every single day, and those guys are still catching fish. In some cases, they're using the great big walleye shiners so that they're not harassed by all those small fish, or guys are fishing with plastics, again, to try to just make it easier so that they can cover water quicker and find those schools. Now, talk a little bit, so that's the panfish and the perch fishing. You're going to be at the mercy of the dirty water, right, with the wind directions and the winds that we've had and all the runoff. So try to find as clean a water as you can find. It's going to improve your odds even on those perch. But I'm going to talk a little bit here about something a little bit different for you guys that may be wanting to target walleyes but may not want to go down and jig the river yet. Now, with the water up as high as it is right now and the conditions that we have, especially with the off-colored water, there are a lot of fish out in this lake right now. A lot of these fish are not going to go spawn in the Clinton River. They're not going to go down into the Detroit River, and they're probably not going to go up into the St. Clair River either. Some of these fish are going to spawn on the harder substrates that we have out in the main lake. And going back into the 80s when I was a whole lot younger and I used to fish with my dad, we would catch a lot of fish in that 9 Mile area on those rock humps. All these different areas that you guys like to target the smallies on, even out in front of the mile, down like Memorial Park area, out on some of those harder bottomed areas out there, you're going to find walleyes, and you're going to find fish even in on the riprap areas along the shoreline. It's not uncommon this time of the year to catch walleyes when you're fishing for smallies right up in these areas where you've got you know, some gravel down there on the base of some of these wave breaks and everything, you know, all along the shoreline. And that goes for like those humps out in front of 9 Mile. That even goes for some of those areas over there by the dumping grounds. And then, you know, when the water is clear, if you come out of the Detroit River, you've got miles of rock and rubble all the way up into the Grosse Pointe area, all along the American side there, from the channel all the way into the shore. It's all fair game for these walleyes to spread out. And when you got this many fish in the system, you're going to get fish up in those areas. So don't be afraid to go out there and pull cranks right now. Don't be afraid to go out there and drag some jigs, doing some controlled drifting with the bow mount electrics. Just downsize on your jig heads. Go down to just small enough that you can hit bottom and feel. Maybe you could even go with a twister tail and a night crawler, or you can use your minnows too. Even hair jigs will work this time of the year when the water temperatures are cold. So don't be afraid to mix it up a little bit. And I think you'll really be surprised at all the different species you're going to catch. You're going to catch smallies. You're going to catch big perch. You're going to catch northern pike right now. I mean, you don't know what you're going to catch. You could catch a steelhead this time of the year. So with the water cold like this, you can catch a ton of fish up in the shallower waters. And I'm talking 5, 6, 7 to 10 to 11, 12 feet. I mean, that covers a lot of water. I get it, it's not as easy as fishing the river, but you know, just depending on the weather conditions and what the water clarity is like. If that water's too dirty in the river to get, you know, good jigging action going, you might be surprised if you go up into the lake where that dirty water in the shallow areas is actually going to be your friend. Now, dirty water in the river. Let's talk about that a little bit. What does that mean? You guys, you know, you can get right up on the bank. You know, these fish, when that water's dirty in the river, especially when they start to actively spawn, they can be right up on the bank. And if you pay attention, you're going to see some of the more savvy anglers literally controlling that boat right up in within a hand's distance of the shoreline in many cases. And those great big early spawners are going to be right up in tight a lot of times. The guys will talk about fishing the mud. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about fishing that real dirty water. Sometimes that water gets dirty along the shoreline just from the waves breaking on it and churning it up. And they'll fish right up in there in the mud in 5, 6, 7 feet of water jigging for these great big early spawners. And I know there's been some early spawners caught already. I was watching Jason Quintano's page. I know they've caught some big fish down there, and there's been other big fish that have been caught down there in the river early already this year. Now, I did get a report that up by Alter Road, there's a ton of smaller fish, a lot of males that have stacked up right out in front of Alter, and we're talking huge numbers of fish up there right now. So, you know, if you guys are out for numbers for easy eating fish, that'd be a good place to start. Trying to think if I got anything else to tell you. I told you this was going to be a quick, short one. So I want to try to keep it that way. I think that's probably enough to get your interest peaked. So hopefully the lake's not too trashed from all the wind and all the rain. And we're supposed to have light winds tomorrow, so you guys will be able to get out there and move around and hopefully find some fish and take advantage of this springtime fishing that we've got here on this amazing body of water, Lake St. Clair. We'll see you in at the store. You have a great one. Hey, if you like this video content and you want to get updated as soon as the next video is out there, hit that subscribe button and a little bell icon, and you'll get notified as soon as the next video is up.